Shut up and sit down.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mental Health Mentorship and Megapixels. I'm very patriotic today, like I think most of the country is. On the back of the Rugby World Cup and us having won, we're taking Mira out to go see the trophy parade today. So it's really exciting to have, for our country to have won the World Cup again. And now you suddenly have this wonderful bunch of people who had no idea what rugby was dancing in the streets. But you know what? That's okay. That's the point of sport. It brings the country together. And of course, now this morning, we'll be amongst those fans who were packing their bags yesterday because South Africa is so bad. I'm just going to go to Australia. I think I'm going to wait a little bit before I go to Australia. I know my niece is there and it's so much better, but let's wait one more week because the Springboks won and in Australia never do so good. But our country isn't that bad. It's going to be pretty okay for a couple of days. I think I'll leave after that. I was diagnosed bipolar last year in the first quarter of the year. And if you go and watch yesterday's video, I said almost the exact same things, but in a totally different way because I shot the video in the afternoon when I was a bit tired and on top of that had taken some flu medication. And I decided to shelve it and redo it in the morning because generally the mornings are much better for me. So I'm going to take us through everything that I can about bipolar. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it up into small chunks because there is a lot to talk about. And so I'll probably do section by section, week by week. And I need to start us off with a quick disclaimer. We are talking about mental health. It's a serious issue that needs to be discussed. But at the same time, the problem with mental health is once heard, it's very difficult to unhear concepts. And there will be concepts in our discussions that could be triggering. And because of that, I need you to know that I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any sort of doctor in the medical profession. I'm speaking purely from the point of view of a person experiencing I don't like calling it an illness, but experiencing the illness. So please take this as non-professional experience. It's not even advice. It's what I've lived. And if what I've lived can help someone else, then great. But I am not able to instruct anyone or even advise anyone on what to or not to do. And with that, and to lump into disclaimer, which will be shown every week, so I don't have to re-record this. Please check out my blog. I realized that I've been writing articles for about a year and a half now, and I've actually forgotten about some of those articles, and some of them had to do with bipolar and the experience of becoming bipolar, like I called it. Please check it out. It's at the website. The link is below. And some of those issues will be spoken about in the weeks to come. But if you want to, get ahead and just get a bit of reading in, or even read it and then send me questions that I can address in future sessions, well, that'll be cool. So with that said, with the disclaimer done, a little bit more. There may be discussion regarding self-harm and potentially triggering discussions. So please proceed with, I wouldn't say proceed with caution, but please exercise judgment. And if you're not sure at this point in time, because once you've heard a trigger, you can't unhear the trigger. If you're unsure, get somebody else to watch this, someone who is close to you, a parent if you're a minor, and if you're not a minor, but someone who you trust, who can watch the episode, check through it, and just tell you whether perhaps this is a video better left for a time when you're in a better headspace. I'm personally experienced in this. Once I've seen a video online that is triggering, even though it was supposed to be trying to help me, my particular position at that time led it to being a trigger, and you can't take back what you've heard. So please, rather let someone watch the video and advise you that this is not something that you should be looking at right now. Maybe park it for another time, just out of safety. So you'll see I'm going to actually be looking down a bit, because yesterday, in my state of downness, let's call it that, I was like, I had no energy, I had no enthusiasm. But I'm going to show you some of those clips from yesterday, because I want you to see how much can change just in a day. I also decided to write down in a sequence what I wanted to discuss, because I'm not a big fan of practicing speeches and addressing people. I prefer to just wing it, if you would. It feels more authentic to me. But I realized, and over the last year as well, that my brain goes into a bit of a muddle, and I know everything that I wanted to speak about, but my short-term recollection, which has been impacted since my diagnosis, leads me to not remember the sequence, so it becomes less coherent, and it doesn't help the listener keep track of what's going on. Even though everything's in my head, it comes out as a complete muddle, and it's not easy to follow. So I've written all of this down. I wouldn't say I've written down the whole discussion, but I've written down key points so that I just remember that sequence. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, I have been so badly affected by short-term recollection loss that this morning I was making coffee. I put the coffee machine on, and then I went and sat down and started writing the notes in my notebook. And the coffee never came. The coffee never arrived. And I realized that I'd filled water in the pot and stuck it under the drip part of the machine, but I did not pour the water into the part of the machine where it needs to boil. So those are the kinds of little things that happened to me, because my brain jumped onto the next thing. Okay, so as far as how I got here goes, I was diagnosed last year at the age of 33. I had no idea that this was in my family, really. In retrospect, now that I think about it, I do have distant relatives that are bipolar or have bipolar, and I didn't think that linked close enough to my immediate family to be a concern. I had a lot of energy when I was growing up. A typical day for me was up at 5 a.m., at school at 5 a.m., to have swimming training until 7, have school the whole day. I'm talking about high school now. Finish school at 2:30 or what have you. Train water polo from 2:30 to 5 p.m. Train for swimming from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then go home and do homework and whatnot and repeat. And then the weekends was additional training and swimming galas. And I still, used to maintain a top 20, top 30 position academically in my grade. So I think I did pretty okay. And obviously, like a lot of people like me, I didn't think it was enough, and I never thought I was enough. And because I didn't know what enough was. For a person with as high energy as I had, nothing is ever enough. There is no such thing. No matter what you achieve, it's not enough. There's a lot of other stuff linked to that. But nonetheless, in terms of how we got to here today, me talking to you, it's been a long journey. It's taken a lot of growth and understanding, not only from myself, but from the people in my life. And if they were not able to make the sacrifices they have or give me the support in the ways they do, especially Leanne, I don't think I would be sitting in front of you talking about this right now. And that's a large part of coping with this illness. I started on the whole mental health journey probably around 2018. Leanne and I decided we wanted to start a family, but we still both had very hectic jobs. We had a company employee assistance program with the company I was with at the time, and they gave you access to medical services. So we went to a psychologist in Johannesburg. We had a few sessions with her to just prepare us for what was coming, the stresses. First-time parenting is scary, and the grandparents were all the way down in Durban, which was 500 k's away. Even though they would come up often, it's still not the same as having someone there full-time. So as much as we enjoyed the journey, it was at times quite scary. So we thought, let's just prepare ourselves. Let's preempt what might happen and strengthen ourselves psychologically before we get into it. And during our sessions with the psychologist, not only did we unpack relationship issues that we needed to work out, but the psychologist, she asked me if I possibly thought that I wanted to see a psychiatrist because she felt that I may be exhibiting signs of anxiety. And so I did. I paid a dude $2,500 to see me for 2.5 seconds and give me drugs, basically. I joke, but, somebody told me one day, become an engineer. They said, it'll be good for you. I should have become a psychiatrist because honestly, 2 minutes work, $2,500, boom, bang. But the point is, went on to the antidepressants, it helped a bit, and I could start seeing things happening. And so obviously there was something to be treated. Fast forward a few years to 2021, and I had been on and off the anti-anxiety meds. And I come back to Durban, I need to get my prescription refilled. I go to my old GP, who was my GP for years and years. And given the history that he knew about me and the way I was active as a youngster, he asked me if I thought that I could possibly have ADD or adult ADHD. And he says, it's not uncommon amongst people who were, let's say, high functioning. And he just said to me, would you like to test it, try these drugs, let's say that, and see a psychiatrist and just, see if it makes a difference. Now, I did. I went on to Concerta and it made a difference. So it pointed me in the direction that there was something going on. We thought it was ADHD, but here's the fun thing. ADHD presents very similarly to aspects of bipolar, and sometimes, I think very often, it's misdiagnosed. And so by the time I had gotten to a psychiatrist, because, when you need psychological help, you only need it in 3 months' time, right? And I joke about this because I went down a list of psychiatrists in Durban. And the first appointment available, 3 months down the road. The second one, first appointment available 2.5 months down the road, but you're in a waiting list of 24 people. Third one down, available, right? Go to this guy. And that's another thing about mental health. It's the same with psychologists. You call a psychologist, you need help. You need help now. You're experiencing the distress now. Okay, I've got an appointment for you. Can you make December the 3rd? And now we're sitting in November. I understand that these people are busy, but the unfortunate thing is, by the time help gets to the person that needs help, it's too late. The moment's passed. So I hope that in doing what I'm doing, it kind of gives people the opportunity to think about these things when they need it, or reach out to support groups or even myself. And even if it's just for someone to talk to have someone to listen, if you don't have someone to listen, we can do that. But I obviously can't give you advice because I'm not a professional. Nonetheless, I eventually get to the psychiatrist and he says, you know what, take this test, which is a written test. It's a bunch of questions. Other than really highly invasive testing, I don't think there's any other way to diagnose it. It's just an assessment of characteristics of how you behave. And it's a couple of questions. You answer these questions, you start taking meds, and then you find out whether they help or not. And so in the first month, he says he suspected it after the questionnaire, and these are the meds you would take. And I accepted that, took the meds, and I could see a difference starting to happen, which for me was the telltale that, okay, something is not neurotypical in your brain. Your chemicals are not 100% as the neurotypical chemicals are. And that's how we ended up here today, just, through a journey of ups and downs and learning a lot.
But if there's anything that anyone out there is experiencing that we can talk more about, please reach out. And until then, take care of yourself. Have a good week. This is Neo saying bye for now. Bye.